In the Back of the Book segment tonight, keeping America safe. A new Gallup poll shows fewer Americans than ever believe the U.S. military is the best in the world. 49% of adults believe the U.S. is the world's top military power, the lowest level in the poll's 23-year history, and get this, down 10 percentage points from just a year ago. Recent comments like this from the director of the CIA probably aren't helping matters.
If there was a major attack here and we had ISIS fingerprints on it, certainly this would encourage us to be even more forceful in terms of what it is that we need to do.
If our policy after an attack in the United States would be to be more forceful, why isn't that our policy now, before an attack?
Well, I think we're being as forceful as we can be and making sure that we're being surgical, though, as well. What we don't want to do is to alienate others within that region and have any type of indiscriminate actions that are going to lead to deaths of additional civilians.
Wow. With Americans increasingly worried about our security and military might, which 2016 candidate is best suited to restore their faith? Joining us now, to analyze from Palm Springs, Rick Grenell, former U.S. spokesman at the UN, and from Washington, Simon Rosenberg, president of the New Democrat Network. Simon, starting with you, my jaw dropped. When I saw that, I was more shocked than Scott Pelley when he heard John Brennan say, basically, let's wait until ISIS attacks us before we take them out, because we don't want to instigate the Muslims. I guess that's what he's referring to.
Listen, I want to agree with your premise, which is that I think Americans are feeling unsafe. I think they're feeling unsure about the world. I think that poll number, reflects that. And I think that the Democrats who are going to be running in 2016, even though I'm proud of Obama's record, and I can go down a whole long list of things he's done in Asia, Latin America, and so on, it's going to be defined in this election about what happens in the Middle East, Syria, ISIS, I think, and the spillover into Europe. There's no question.
That poll shows Americans are more concerned about Americans' military might globally than ever in the 23-year history of the poll. Rick, Brennan basically saying, let's wait till there's a pile of American bodies piled up, and then we'll go ahead and take out ISIS. I mean, come on. President Obama started this in 2009, did he not?
Yeah, look, we saw it starting to mount in Syria, and he ignored it. What Brennan said there about being surgical, I think, is an absolutely correct statement. We want to be surgical. We don't want to carpet bomb, as some GOP candidates have said. But this administration has tried to bomb from the air and has refused to be surgical. Being surgical means you send in intelligence sources on the ground. We still haven't taken out the command and control center for ISIS. The reason why is because we're bombing from the air. We're not putting intelligence officers on the ground, which is code word for boots on the ground. The Kurds can't do it, as Ted Cruz says. We really need to have U.S. troops in there. We are the best, and we're going to have to do it. We don't have to try to build the country back up, but we need to have intelligence officers there to know where to bomb. Let me turn the discussion
a little bit. Another area that a lot of Americans are really ticked off, Iran. We just learned today that Iran is now trying to negotiate a deal with the Russians to buy a super tank that the Russians build. That violates the sanctions, that violates the deal we put together with Iran. Simon, we gave Iran, or in the process of giving Iran, $100 billion. They're taking the money and buying tanks with it, violating the sanction rules.
Well, first of all, we didn't give them anything, right? I mean, this is their money.
Well, we gave it back to them.
No, but we didn't give it to them. We didn't give it to them. I mean, you be more precise. But the point is that, look, Iran's an independent sovereign nation. I mean, they are clearly in a regional struggle for power and influence with Saudi Arabia and other Sunni governments in the region. One shouldn't expect for them. They've disarmed their nuclear program. They're not going to disarm. They are not going to disarm. They're not going to disarm their conventional.
They also want a highly effective jet fighter from the Russians. Rick, they're using the money that we gave back to them. I don't know. Maybe we could have spread that out over the course of 10 years.
Well, look, I don't believe that it is their money. It was money that was frozen because they're the world sponsor of terrorism. If Simon wants to say that a terrorist organization that has a state sponsorship is allowed to get their money back because they're a sovereign nation, I think there's a lot of Democrats that would disagree with him. Just because Iran is sovereign doesn't mean that we have to go along and give them their terrorist money back. This deal from the very beginning has been violated almost on a weekly weekly basis, but we have been unable to call it and say that the Iranians are violating it. I mean, you just look at Parchin. We're not inspecting military sites, but yet, you know, John Kerry says, oh, we were able to disarm them, and even Simon just said that they have
leave it right there,
been
guys.
disarmed.
Rick and Simon, thank you very much.